As soon as we mention wolves, it's a very emotional subject on both sides. Okay. We've lost more animals to predators here in 6-7 months than in 40-some years.
Colorado has its first wolf pups born in the wild since nearly 100 years ago.
The wolves that have migrated here have state ranchers on edge.
I was actually in New York when word came in that Colorado experienced its first wolf depredation, and it was on Don Gittleson's ranch.
Third-generation Colorado cattle rancher Don Gittleson has seen it firsthand. He's recently lost 9 cows to a wolf pack. This is one of 6 wolves.
My heart sank because, that's not a good deal for the wolves, but it's certainly not a good deal for the landowner. And there was more than one incident, so it's certainly not a good scenario.
We went out in the morning and they had killed a heifer and had eaten most of her. We changed some things. We put some large mature cows in with those heifers, and that worked for about 3 weeks. And then they went out into the large cows and they injured one bad enough that we had to put her down. And the next day they came back and they killed another cow.
Obviously as a wolf lover, it is heartbreaking when I think of a wolf being killed at the hands of man. Rather legally or illegally. It tears me apart.
It was illegal to chase wolves or do anything to wolves. That's a $100,000 fine and jail time. There's nobody here to take care of these animals if I'm in jail, and that's the case with a lot of ranchers. If they have to go to jail and they need to be feeding cows every day, those cows aren't going to get fed.
Nothing is more heated. No animal is more loved and more hated. No animals cause such turmoil and conflict than wolves. They're one of the only wild species known to protect their sick, injured, ill, old. When I started this work, I was pretty hardcore wolf advocate, going to hearings and rallies.
Like many wolf advocates, I had bought into the idea that ranchers didn't care about their animals, the landscape, or the wildlife, including predators.
I had no understanding of the realities on the ground, but it was thanks to a few ranchers in California that were willing to open up their hearts and their minds to this wolf person that I had an opportunity to really learn and understand the realities on the ground and what this cause really meant.
After a few days, the wolves came back. The press that this was getting and the attention it was getting throughout the state and even further than that, I realized that whoever was going to be here would have an opportunity to have people donate to their organizations, and I wanted to be careful about who that was going to be. I wanted to have somebody sincere about actually helping and not just using this as a way to increase their wallet.
We reached out and he invited me to his ranch, and I could tell he was, a lot of questions, like trying to get a feel of who I was and, did I really understand ranching or was I just one of these crazy wolf people, And I guess I passed the test.
Did the heavy rains put things behind or not
a little
really?
bit, but you still get people, and on both sides, that don't trust each other. They think that the other side is lying. The only way that that's going to change is that we sit down and have conversations. Karin was sincere about wanting to stop the problem and to try and get along with the ranchers. Are we going to agree on everything? No, we're not. But as long as we can respect each other, that's something.
The biggest thing that impressed me about Don was his willingness to reach across the aisle and to invite wolf advocates to his land. It's good for them to understand that, this isn't easy. People say, oh, it's just a cost of business, for ranchers, or if they just do this or just do that, it's all going to be fine. And it's important for folks to realize that it's not easy. I recognize that ranching has great value, beyond the wolf. The fact that they preserve these open spaces and they steward the land and they care so much. I mean, if you were to take away these private lands, what would happen?
We are environmentalists. We just don't get recognized that way. We provide a habitat for a lot of animals.
We care about the livestock that we have. When wolves kill these animals, they're not good at it. It's not a kind death. It's very graphic. And when I have to put down an animal that's been injured and is not going to live and it's in a lot of pain, that's probably the hardest part.
I wish for all the wolf advocates to have some of the experiences I've been so blessed to have. To be able to see the whole story, right? Not just half the story. That's where a lot of the challenges come from. And I feel like I only had half the story. I became as much of a rancher advocate as a wolf advocate. I believe that wolves do have an inherent right to be on the landscape, but I also believe that ranchers also have a right to be here and to protect their livelihood. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. There are some that say, oh, I've sold out to the ranchers, that I don't really love wolves, but they don't know my heart. And some ranchers think I'm too, wolf friendly. It's like you can't be, you can't love and appreciate both, but I do.
Not all wolf advocates are the same. They don't all believe exactly the same thing.
Radical middle, that's the place people need to be. But it's a tough place to go, and it's complicated, and it's nuanced. So Don took a lot of risk on me, and he took a lot of risk reaching out to some of these folks, but I think it's done amazing good for the cause overall.
The reason I had wolf advocates come to the ranch was because I wanted them to see the landscape and the reality of how difficult it was going to be to keep wolves out. We did get to talk a lot, and I found that we didn't always have a lot of things besides wolves that we were different about.
Hopefully everybody can look at some of this stuff and say, let's not repeat the mistakes. Hopefully that's what a lot of people learn.